Good morning, Aquarius, or good evening, depending on where you're at. It is great to see you. And some really beautiful messages have been coming through this morning, particularly in the channeled messages. So we'll get to those in just a second. I want to start by introducing myself. So if you're brand new, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll be looking at Aquarius, and you can always use my readings for your sun, your rising, your moon. If you know other parts of your chart like Venus, it will work for that as well. And an interesting thing with the way that I read, especially at the beginning, is that anybody can show up, because the beginning portion is just basically me working with my raw intuition. So if you show up in the room, there's likely going to be a message for you. And that kind of works for the whole reading itself. So if you ever just feel a little bit out of sorts and want to join in, even if it's not part of your chart, join in. There are intuitive messages for everyone that's here. This is especially attuned for Aquarius, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are other messages that come through that make sense. I'll pick that card up in a second. Apollo was tapping the table and saying, "Dad, pay attention to this." Anyway, here's how this is going to be organized today. I like to begin with that sort of psychic download. I call them channeled messages. And then I move along to the Celtic Cross. The Celtic Cross, in the way that I read, is really much more based on anything you need to hear, not specifically aimed towards work or career or soulmates. If those things come up, then we talk about them. If they don't, then I look at them in the expanded forecast. That way it's more holistic and you really get a chance to work on yourself, which in the end is going to help you with all of those things. The expanded forecast includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. I do a mini review at the midpoint, just in case people join late, and also because I get additional insights as I go through it. And then after that, we'll go deeper into the soul path. So almost every single time I read, there's one question that I have that 10 cards may not be able to answer. So then we'll go a little deeper, and I help you get on the right trajectory for the next half of the year. And then we'll do a quick meditation, which will bring together everything that we've been working on, especially if there's something that you need to release or heal or open up to. And then we will pull an extra card at the end. So there's a lot of information that comes through. A lot of it is channeled, and I'm so happy to meet you. We've been getting some new people, and that's fantastic. That's actually a direct result of all of you that click the thumbs up, subscribe, and share it. Interaction is a really great way to spread this message. So please, if you haven't done that, consider liking, subscribing, and then later when this is on replay, you can comment or share. Single best way that you can say thank you for me showing up today. I'm going to put down this resplendent little fellow that I call Apollo, and we're going to get to work here. So thanks, buddy. Let me just pick up one card that flipped under the table. Let's see which one it was. Oh, yeah. Embrace what makes you stand out. We'll talk about this in a second. Okay, so I always like to begin with spirit totems. And oh, by the way, before I get started, if you want to show support here, in addition to hitting the like and subscribe button, another thing that you can do is to show super chat, or send us super chat rather. And that's basically this little icon by the emojis. You can basically just send me a sticker or say thank you. It helps me continue to buy new decks. And it's a nice way to know in real time, like, thank you. So I appreciate that. If you happen to be watching it on replay, you can also do it through the applaud button, and you can always join and become a channel member. All of these are official ways to do it. So in advance, thank you. And also thanks to my moderators. All right, let's now get into the channeled messages. I always like to begin with something in nature. And I actually got this message yesterday when I got yesterday's and today's at the same time. And I laughed. It was like, this is a cool animal. I haven't really dealt with this one before. So we'll be looking at the giraffe for today. Beautiful animal and really cool symbolism coming through for you, Aquarius, with this particular animal. Don't think I've ever really dealt with it in totems before. And I kind of feel like I go to school some days when I do these readings, because then I have to Google the animal and learn a little bit about it and then kind of figure out how it's going to work with you. So here's what I basically got for the giraffe. First and foremost, I was just thinking about how it stands out from everything else that you would see out in nature. So hold your head high and look for out-of-the-box solutions. Go in places where others couldn't. Like, I feel like you can reach places and reach insights, even using your intuition, that others may struggle with, because you're not sort of trying to blend in. You're not trying to sort of do the same old, same old. And that's exactly how you can be successful, is by reaching, pushing, and trying something different. To that end, don't let any of the naysayers or critics kind of harm or deflate your self-esteem. It's all about staying super high and really trying to elevate thoughts, elevate speech. And it's tricky because sometimes other people are doing the exact opposite, right? They're basically using lower forms of speech and they're trying to find a way to kind of pull us down. This month, you're really going to try to stay higher, stay elevated in things that you're saying and doing. And to that end, I think that this is really a chance where you can flex your leadership skills, lead instead of following. You have a chance to make a difference if there's something that you're passionate about. So whatever that may be, speak up. This is the time to do it. And then the card that flipped on the floor when Apollo's paw touched it was this one. So apparently Apollo said this was very important for us to look at, which is embrace what makes you stand out. And this is the hardest thing, right? Because almost from the time that we're children, we're taught to do what we're told to do or what's expected, or why can't you be more like the other kids? I'm going to kind of come here and flip the switch for you and say, why can't you be more like yourself? Why do you want to blend in? It's boring when you just sort of blend into everything. It's the things that make you remember, like people can remember you. So if you're memorable or singular in your approach to things, that makes you stand out in a good way. Make it part of your brand. I ran out of room here a little bit, but yeah, basically take these unique traits and make it part of your brand. And we see that with, with celebrities in particular, something unusual about the way they speak, about the way they walk, about the way they look, maybe a skill that they have, they can somehow brand that and own it. When you can own what makes you unique, then it's no longer something that people can tease you about, and it can actually be something that's an asset for you as well. So yeah, stand out, be unique, don't blend in. Who cares about the popular kids? It's really, I like to sometimes think back to school. It's the kids that were quote unquote geeky, or, like I would say anyone that was in band or theater or science, and they were kind of like really deep into all of that stuff. They're the ones thriving because you can use all those practical skills or creative skills to do something cool. So you don't need to blend in. Next thing is more diet related. I put a little asterisk at the bottom. Before you change anything in diet or exercise, always talk to your doctor. That disclaimer notwithstanding, when we look at the giraffe, it is an herbivore. It eats a ton of vegetables. And I couldn't have this in the totem without talking about the importance of incorporating more leafy greens and vegetables in your diet. Work with your doctor, work with your dietitian to see what works for your body. But it feels like that could be a big assistance in adding more water in your body, like hydration, because I was reading up on giraffes, and they actually derive most of the water from the leaves that they eat. But there's also just a lot of fiber and a lot of positive things that can come through with leafy vegetables as well, including things like fighting cancer and everything. It's just very healthy for you. So depends on your body and what you can eat. Not everyone can eat the same things, but if you can, try a little bit more with the vegetables. Also, because the giraffe, it's mostly neck, right? A big part of it is, I really think you need to be paying attention to neck, throat, and upper back. When and if possible, stretch and move a little bit more. I think a lot of us now are getting like Zoom fatigue, and even my setup could probably be improved a little bit. A lot of us are working in our living rooms, and it's not always the best setup to have just a dining room table set that you're working at. So this might be a time for you. I spoke a couple signs ago about getting an ergonomic checkup, but for you, it's very specific to this. So it could just be about getting a stand to lift up your computer. I have one here that I'm working with. So it lifts it up so that the camera's on eye level, and basically it also gives me more space on the table. So see if you can elevate your monitor or your computer a little bit, and also focus on your lighting. Make sure that you're not straining your eyesight, and getting everything set up, because but this is what I was focusing on. So where are you kind of holding your neck, and how much support are you getting there? And then are you the kind that types like this? So focus on releasing some of the tension right here, and then kind of like however you're holding your neck. I think that's going to be really, really important to just basically general health. It also goes to the throat. So I put throat here. This could include things like your thyroid and esophagus. So if for anybody that's kind of going through any of those issues, obviously, if you have any of these problems, you should go to a doctor or a chiropractor or somebody that can help you with the adjustments. But I'm getting that this part of your body all around here is where you want to focus a little bit more attention this month. Okay, even though giraffes are the tallest living terrestrial animal, they're also very grounded. They literally have their feet on the ground. So this month, one of the things that you can really focus on is how you can ground yourself. So I put some little bullet points here. Your spiritual practice. This is interesting too, because one of the most common questions that I get is like, how can I increase my intuition? How can I become more perceptive in what's going on? Practice, practice, practice. It's called a spiritual practice for a reason. So you will get better the more you do it. So make time every day or every week. If you can do it every day, you're going to get a lot better. I literally think every single day of the year, I touch tarot cards or am somehow connected to my intuitive practice, which is how it's increased. So if you're doing it every day, you're just going to get better at it. So keep working on that. Have that be part of your spiritual practice. Physical activity and exercise and getting the physical body to be a strong channel is important, because this can be really awake, but if the body's kind of not at its optimum level, then you can't pull the energy through it. So the stronger your body is, the more your mind can allow the energy to come through, because you're like the magician, you're a channel. And the giraffe is actually a really cool metaphor for the magician, because it's reaching towards the firmament, but its feet are on the ground. So again, being able to be strong in mind and body is going to be really important, which is why these two were first. And then I talked yesterday about passion, but I would say purpose and passion should have some sort of a connection and interplay between one another. So always have a purpose for the day and for your life in general, and then be passionate about achieving that, or passionate about something else in your life. I think probably in this order, people will ask about love, and then they ask about like life. Well, usually they'll ask about their job and then life purpose. Then health may follow in there somewhere. For life purpose, I've been really pushing all signs this month to not overthink it, because I really believe that we already know what brings us joy. So this would start with, what do you derive joy from? What brings you a sense of awe and wonder and intrigue? What would you, if there was some movie on Netflix or a book on the shelf, what would you want to explore a little bit more and learn more about? These are the really important things, I think, that you should pay attention to, because that's where your heart is bringing you. That's where your compass is pointing. So play with that a little bit, and then see if you can align it a little bit more to what you do for a living. So anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed Apollo's message. Again, embrace what makes you stand out. That kind of pulls back into this one, which is to have, I talk about a stretch goal. And this kind of harkens back to when I used to be a manager for people. And I used to sometimes encourage them to write their goals on index cards. I think you should have like 2 or 3 goals at any given point in your life. 2 that are easy, 1 that is hard. We want to focus on the one that is hard here. Stretch for something you think you may not be able to do, but you kind of know you probably can if you put effort into it. And I want you to focus on that stretch or that reach goal, because with the giraffe coming through, you're going to make some progress. You might find a different way to do it, and you're going to go higher and further than you have before. Whether or not you get to the finish line this month, that doesn't matter. I've talked many times about the fact that I think sometimes completion or achievement, it can be anticlimactic, or that moment is really big, but then after it, it's sort of like, now what? So that's why I always want you to have 2 or 3 things, and to really enjoy the pushing as you go up that 10 of Wands hill and get ready for the next big thing, and know what that next big thing is. I always have a couple things that I'm working on and hoping to achieve. So there you go. Interesting. I was also Googling and learning about the giraffe, and I guess they're pretty fast. I can't remember if it was something like 30 miles an hour or something that they can stride, but that's not bad. So I feel like you can pick up the pace and gain some momentum this month. I always like to prioritize the quality of something over the quantity, or again, maybe in this case, the quality over the speed, but it feels like you have a chance to go a little bit faster. And I give myself a few hours in the morning to get ready for these readings, but a lot of times, like I'll do the research. It takes me a while for the animal. So I have about 30 minutes to research your spirit totem, and then I have an hour to write the cards. But I get up an hour before that. But I need that time limit as well. So after that's done, I'm like, better hurry up, got to get on to the reading. I don't give myself too much time to overthink it. So about an hour and a half to get all of these cards and to do the research for the animal. So for yourself, give yourself a deadline so that you can figure out how long it takes you to get something done. And when you're done, move on. Otherwise, you get in your head. And with intuitives, and everyone in this room is intuitive or you wouldn't have showed up today. With people that are tapped into spirit, you don't have to overthink. You just have to kind of show up, report, and then follow through on it. So just show up and follow through, okay? And then you're going to gain some speed this month, some momentum. Giraffes have very good eyesight. Didn't know that until I Googled them as well this morning. So I'm going to take this more on a symbolic level. I would say your ability to have creative vision or to see things that others can't is at a new high as well. And so act on those ideas. And maybe you are a visionary where other people don't get it. And that means that you may have to step out on your own, or you might have to work with someone else, because when you think of people that are really kind of ahead of the curve, sometimes people don't know what they're talking about and they think they're crazy, but they're not. They're really tapped in. So I want you to trust what you're receiving again, and know that it's not accidental. You're being led down this path for a reason, okay? So that's everything for the giraffe. Beautiful animal, beautiful symbols that came through for it. Let's move on to the next messages. These came through in dreams and meditation. The first one came through this morning as I was dreaming, and I kind of have interruptions during my sleep, and I quickly write these things down before I forget them. But what I saw for you was a partnership. I saw another person, and you guys were reaching for cards, and I saw the death card come up. And for me, this indicates an end of a karmic cycle. I've seen it for myself before. So when I see it for you, it's pretty clear to me that this means that between you, and it could be family member, best friend, love interest, even an adversary, someone that you hate, you finally figured out why they came into your life, because it was a lesson. The lesson has now been released, and you get to choose what to do next. So I saw the death card, you and another, which is showing me a release of a previous lifetime contract or karmic debt that you had. So that's really, really amazing. And I never get scared. When I see death, it's beautiful because it's a transformative card. So I had to look at the relationship, what was going on here. What I was told by my gods is you can now choose what to do, stay or go. If you go, there's something better, a better relationship on the horizon. The really cool thing that I saw was that the other person looked at you and said, I don't recognize you. So that's telling me that you've done the change, the internal change and work that you needed to do. And maybe you're even a little bit further ahead than the other partner is, but they no longer need you, or you no longer need them to show you whatever it was that you needed to grow on. So you're in a good place. You're in a good place, karmically speaking. You've released something. So here's the challenge. Sometimes we get stuck in a habit. So maybe that person is a partner, and that's a lot more difficult, or you're still working with them. But if they're out of your life now, you can finally feel this sense of liberation. You're no longer going to sort of feel a weight on your shoulders, or what if, or how is this going to work out? So choose to be free. That's what I wanted to say. And if you're with someone and it's kind of done, you feel like, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore, then it's done. That's okay. People come and go in our lives and lifetimes. So if you're meant to reconnect in another, you will. But at this point, I don't think you have to. This is now whatever you want, which is really nice. The karma's been released. So the way that I read these usually can go up to 6 weeks. So whenever you read this, anytime between now and 6 weeks, you may see this come through. So just pay attention, and then be decisive and be discerning, I should say, when that happens. Speaking of which, because I saw one, this is how death works. One door closes, another one opens. I saw a ring being presented, but the ring needed to be cleaned. So that tells me that they were putting in one of those sonic cleaners. Beautiful ring, diamond on the ring as well, little tiny diamonds on it as well. And basically it tells me a little bit of work on yourself before you meet that next new person. So you release the contract or the karma between an old person. Now the universe is saying, just take a half second here. They told me like 30 minutes or 60 minutes on there. So we could say 30 to 60 days of internal work that you need to do before the next opportunity comes through for you. Clean your energy first. Do some yoga, do some meditation, really focus on soul purpose, as we've been talking about. And then this could be a new contract, like a job. It could be a promise that's coming through where someone like wants to connect with you, or maybe you're getting a chance to pay back a promise. an engagement or an opportunity. Something good, something nice. I liked it. The ring told me that it was going to stick around for a little bit, but a little bit of cleaning energetically to do. And the closest sort of equivalent that we could have as humans to that sort of sonic bath. Of course, actually, you could be using sound in your life. Like I use a singing bowl. A gong is even better. So you could be listening or in the presence of a gong, and that really helps clear out the energy. Salt baths or getting into the ocean. Oceans aren't as clean as they used to be. So maybe an Epsom salt bath. Those two things are really great ways to kind of combine the energy of what I was hearing. So sound therapy and maybe a little bit of saline, like Epsom salt will help you as well. All right, next piece. For those of you that are working on your intuitive skills, what I was actually shown, I just don't have room to write everything on the cards, was remote viewing. So remote viewing is the ability to see things that aren't in front of you. And basically it's clairvoyance. So I feel some of you might be picking up on clairvoyant skills, and it could be coming through dreams. It could just be coming through thoughts in your head. I think this is happening, or I should pay attention to that. However your clairvoyance works, listen to that. And what I also feel is that someone else is messaging you, kind of like, oh, I'm thinking about you. Oh, I should contact you. And you're going to pick up on that. And you may think, oh, I should reach out to that person. That's magical. That's a synchronicity. And use your intuition to identify this good luck, this synchronicity that's coming through. Two people thinking about each other at the same time, something really cool could happen in work, in love, or in something else. Okay. Now let's get into, speaking of work, there's some stuff about work. I'm going to actually start first with something that this is more about you. So I saw an image of a door that had been sort of propped, like it felt like someone was trying to open it, but they didn't get in. They couldn't get through the lock. I could see the screen had been opened a little bit. And I didn't take it as a break-in. What I kind of was interpreting this to be was someone was trying to break through or get into your energy. So either you're doing a really good job at self-defense, and I would say just amp it up if you're doing that, or there could be a hidden blessing. It could be like a Four of Cups moment, or some ace card where like Ace of Cups, of Wands, or whatever, Pentacles, where there's an opportunity coming in, but you're just sort of not tuning in, or you've blocked it out. So if you've intentionally blocked something, you're doing a pretty good job. Keep doing it. Go a little bit more. I would say if you're feeling stuck, you might be blocking something that is good because it felt like someone really wanted to get your attention. So pay attention to security and opportunities in your life. It's going to be a little bit of both. So of course, if it is your door or whatever, take a look at that. Make sure that the locks are safe and everything like that. But I think it could be also a sign to give a clearer message. No more mixed signals. So if you don't want someone in your life, explicitly say, I'm not interested, or I don't want to do this. Rather than, oh, we'll see, or I don't know, or yeah, we'll be in touch. No, none of that. Better to just come through and say, I had a great time, but I'm not interested. If it's a date, if it's a work situation, thanks for the opportunity. I've decided to do this instead. Very clear. I appreciate it, but no. And for some people, the appreciating piece is too much and just say, I'm not interested. So I feel like being very direct is going to be important to your safety and to your mental sanity, because you don't want this stuff kind of bothering you. And then also just change things like passwords, put on two-factor authentication, if you know what that means, basically making sure that it's tied to a phone or a little app to make sure that there's an extra level of security. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Impersonation is one thing I've had to deal with, but this could also be someone trying to figure out how to get into your account. So you always want to have two-factor authentication on. It gives you that extra level. You'll get a text on your phone, or you have to use like a special app to log in. And then that way it can only be you. Okay. So I think mostly this is mixed signals, or maybe blocking someone out, but not maybe blocking too much out. That's been a message that I've been talking about over the past few days. Security, but not like a full stop block on everything. This one was the one that was related to work. I saw a gift coming through, but there were strings attached to it. Be very careful if you're in a corporate environment. Oftentimes there are policies that prohibit gifts. I actually, even on my website, say that I don't want to receive gifts or unsolicited packages or things like that. I just toss them in the trash or whatever. So I think it's a good policy not to accept things, because usually people want something in return. So Make sure that you understand what's coming in. It would be better to pay or to put something in writing if you're going to receive something. Figure out what the exchange is. I saw strings on the package. I didn't know where the strings were attached to, and it just didn't feel like it was a clean exchange. So say thank you, but no, or I'd like that, but I'm going to buy it if you want to get some sort of a product. That way it can be, there's no sort of conflict of interest, right? I think that's super important. So there are, oh, this was really interesting too. Feels like some of you are in a situation where too many people are trying to call the shots. So in a family, this could just be a struggle for whoever is going to be like matriarch or patriarch, or the one that's trying to be in control. But in a business or a social sphere, it's basically everyone can't delegate. Like there has to be sort of a more of a flatter organization to get things done. So leaders are going to have to roll up their sleeves. And in companies, this may mean that you're going to see something shift, that some of the leadership may leave, or there may be a restructuring that happens with the company because it just felt top heavy to me. And that happens a lot in bigger corporations. So either people will be demoted, or there could be a merger, or there could be layoffs, but it looks like it's going to hit the higher levels. So if you're not in the higher level, great. If you're in the higher level, you should talk to your boss about how you can do more things and really speak up and make sure that you're in the mix there. Okay, so don't be afraid with that message. I see some people getting nervous. I would say one thing that I learned from my experience, I've been through multiple restructurings because I've worked at big companies, about 3 or 4 really big companies. I saw it coming once and I didn't react quickly enough. So if you know that there are kind of water cooler whispers, people are talking around the lunchroom or whatever, or you're getting texts from people because now we're not really in the offices that much, you should just bring up the rumor and say, I hear there's something happening. I'd like to express interest in doing this, this, or this, and I'd like to have advance notice if something is going to come through. Just speak up, because in my situation, someone else spoke up first and they got like a position that I would have liked, and then I just had to leave the company because there was no growth opportunities. So in that situation, I wish that I had spoken up, and every time afterward, I always did because I remembered what happened there. So better to just act ahead of it. Basically take the tower and reverse it and say, I'm going to own the change and be a part of this. And I think it'll be much, much stronger for you. Okay. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to stack up all of these index cards. I will review this at the midpoint, and a lot of times I get additional insights into how these connect to the cards, which is why I do a mini review at the center. So if you missed anything, don't worry. I'll dig a little deeper. I definitely see some relationship stuff coming through for you because of the ring, because of the karmic, basically dissolving relationship and then a new one coming in. So I'm not someone who solely focuses on relationships, but if I see them, I talk about them. So I'm very curious as we look at the love forecast today, how that will relate to you. So at this point, I'm going to turn the camera down, and we're going to take a look at everything that is coming through for your sign this month. Oops. I see questions about my sign. I'm Libra Sun, thanks Dakota, Capricorn Ascendant, and Taurus Moon. That being said, I read every sign as if I completely care about it. So I have a big understanding for air, obviously, since that's in my sun. So I have an affinity towards Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Forgot to mention the giraffe has those. I looked it up, but they're not really bones. They're kind of like cartilage, the 2 antennae. So I'm looking at the high priestess, and it reminds me of that special feature. It's actually a defense mechanism for them. Fun fact. The male giraffes in particular use it, and they kind of, if they're fighting, they use that to kind of ram it against someone else's neck. It's a little violent. But, interesting. I was wondered what those were for. It's a defense feature. But your intuitive gifts can work the same way. They can come through to help you protect yourself. So I was thinking of the giraffe. Got a volunteer card here coming, so I'll pull that plus the next one. You got some beautiful cards today. And a lot of synchronicities between channeled messages here. Transformative stuff, protection, lots of intuitive cards. I'm seeing a lot of synchronicities here. Okay, let's start with your catalyst card. This connects you to basically how to stay successful, how to get out of your own way. The card was reversed, but let's look at it upright here. It says enlightenment, and it's the sacred lotus. And your crown chakra is basically just like that. What is it, like the 1,000-pointed lotus or something like that? This is definitely about intuitive development, without a doubt. What I love about this, and I talked about it once before, when I think this came through maybe in a catalyst, or maybe there was a different card that came up before, but not this particular one, because I don't think I had the deck yet. So what I love about the lotus flower is exactly what this little phrase says at the bottom: no mud, no lotus. This lily grows in murky water, and basically pushes through all of that, and you get the leaf on the top and this beautiful flower, but it's kind of gross underneath. And a lot of times in our karmic cycle, we have to go through all those lower levels before we can ascend. So you're rising above. This is the giraffe of the kind of like aquatic world too, right? Because it's coming up above. Unlike things like kelp, which still exists underneath, this is pushing up, and it's actually thriving in a place where it shouldn't. So you can thrive, something I've been talking about this month. I think each sign is going to be able to thrive. And as we're looking at the energy of April, which is really about rebirth, reincarnation, if we kind of attach it a little bit to Easter, then you have this ability to shine and come through and blossom. So I really, really like this. And if there's anything difficult in your life, this card is reminding you to, rather than focusing on the mud, focus on the light, right? Reach up, not down. And just be like that giraffe, always looking up, or like the lotus petal or lotus flower, go higher and then spread out and open up to the opportunities that are there in the world for you. So you don't want to look that way. You want to look up. I love it. And intuitive development and enlightenment and getting a clear idea or understanding of what's going on. Really, really positive card coming through for the catalyst. So as long as you keep your sights set high, you should be okay. Great. We'll go back to it a little bit later, but let's look at some of the other cards here. So in the center, we have Empress reversed. I generally love the Empress card because it shows the ability to do anything you put your mind to, right? This is very empowered. The reversal of the Empress can really say, take care of yourself. So this month we were looking at possibly one of the things like improving your diet because of the vegetarian sort of diet that the giraffe has. So I would say one of the things you could do is really focus on that. We also see all these beautiful flowers around her as well. So I would say getting out in nature, being around nature, making sure that you're eating more vegetables, all of that is going to be key. An Empress in reverse needs to focus less on trying to fix other people and focus more on, again, their own path and allow others to come to them. So there's a wisdom and a patience and a sort of calm that you definitely see in this particular illustration. So be more focused on this and what's in front of you and what's around you. And as I said before, I feel like there's already too many chiefs, too many captains. So let some of the other people take care of the nonsense and you focus on getting to the next level. Pretty good. The only thing here also, there could be a little bit of a tug of war if there is a maternal energy in your life, mom or a boss or a sister or someone like that, that kind of likes to step in, even a brother, because I really don't read gender so much in the cards, but let's just say someone who thinks that they know what you should do. Try to pull back a little bit, and this can sometimes make you doubt your own power. So if you have that kind of energy in your life, a helicopter coming in and making sure everything's okay, then you're always questioning, am I okay? I don't know. It's like gaslighting at a certain point. You start to doubt your own potential. So don't doubt yourself. Trust your intuition, your gut. Trust your third eye. Trust that lotus that's opening up there, and really be your own person, basically. Okay, I think that's going to be key. We have the King of Cups right on top of this. It's crossing it, so I read it as a positive energy. This is really kind of going into your heart space, creative, passion, and vision, all those things that we were talking about, that creativity, passion, and vision, pulling that into your everyday life, speaking up, really using your voice in a way that inspires. Because Aquarius, you are very good at communication too, but you can come through really, really strong, or like it cuts both ways. I would say this month, elevate. Don't kind of put in like Queen of Swords reversed energy. We have passion, sensitivity, and emotion being really important in how you present yourself and how you lead, because the Empress is a leadership card, and this would be how you could temper that. So use your intuitive and your empathic ability to soften sometimes the general message or the blow. The only time that I would say that's not the case is if you specifically are done with something, then just say a flat out no. But for other things, for leading, for encouraging, particularly if we kind of piggyback on a message from Capricorn, it's so much stronger to inspire or spark that idea within someone else rather than to try to dictate what they need to do. That dictator or authority sort of energy is definitely part of the Empress. So what you would like to do is nurture and encourage, and then let, like a mama bird, you eventually let that baby bird fly, right? So let the person make their own decisions or their own mistakes, and that's really powerful. If you're looking for love, this is a great card to come through for you. So we'll talk more about this as we get further into the spread, but there could be a really strong water sign coming through for you. And also it just feels like you're more open to love. So I like it. So you've done the work. That's why the karmic cycle's ending. We have the Ace of Swords here in the deep past. And look what this sword is doing. It's cutting through all the sort of cords here. It's a knot here. So for some of you, you might have been tied up with someone energetically, sort of intertwined with their life, with their decisions. Maybe there was some codependency. And now you're at a point where maybe through your own life choices, you just don't feel like you need to lean on that person so much, or maybe you just have a lot more clarity in mind, and you know, and you see what's involved. Every time you go into that, it's like a spider web, right? So this Ace of Swords is going through and saying, I choose to release you, just like the Death card, but it's kind of like a blessing, because that's what I'm saying. It's almost like being knighted or blessed, but you're just kind of cutting through the strings and saying, thank you and good and goodbye and best of luck. The other thing with the Ace of Swords, you should be doing something with, hopefully you're starting to write a little bit more or journal a little bit more. We've been talking a lot about this. So journaling is not like you traditionally. Sometime I'll show my version of a journal, but it can be something just as simple as this. Like you have an idea and you want to write this in your journal. Lead, don't follow. I can make a difference. It can just be these little power mantras that you want to do. Words and the invocation of the words and the kind of written part of it is very much magic. It's a reason that, like, if you go to church or temple or mosque or whatever, you're going to be reading scripts, right? There's magic in the words, and then in the recitation, as you start to say it, there's magic. So when you write it in your journal, it's the same thing. You start to bring things into fruition. As I write these for you today, that's magic. So use that. You have the capacity to do it. You should write it and speak it into being, and write and speak positive things into being, and then disconnect things that you don't want. I have this special thing in my book that I made up, but I like it. It's sort of called the divine tongue. And basically the main character in the book that I wrote has the ability to do things like he can counteract negativity. And there's something at one point where he says like, my words are like a sword or like a hammer, and I'm breaking through all the lower frequency stuff. So through the ability to speak in a positive way, you can actually, like a hammer or like a sword, cut through the nonsense. So realize we all have the divine tongue. We all have the ability to connect with the creative force and do that. It's alchemic, it's creative. So use your voice in a really important way. Make change happen. Cut through the nonsense. This is also about cutting through old ways of thinking, things that aren't right, things that are not legal. You might want to advocate for change. So this is also a very activist-oriented Ace of Swords. I really like it. It's much different than you would normally see. This deck is pretty cool in respect to that. All right, we have the Magician card. You have both the Magician and the High Priestess. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's focus on the Magician first. Magician is step one in manifestation. It's also encouraging you to focus. You have to believe and you have to focus to make things happen. The Magician has one of everything, of all the different suits, I should say. So it's really about how you want to put those pieces together. What I reminded you of when we were looking at the channeled messages was that your singular or unique approach is what's going to be magical or on brand for you. So instead of trying to fit into a cookie cutter version of everything else, I want you to kind of be like your own shape, your own form, your own voice, because that's what's going to stand out. Especially like when I think of musicians, the music is one thing, but it's kind of like how they use their instrument, how they use their voice. Sometimes people mumble, sometimes they have vibrato, sometimes they belt it out, but it's usually in the delivery, the tonality, and the connection to their heart space too. How much do they feel it? There's some people where it just sounds like a cover. And then there's some people where they can sing anything, including like the phone book, and it sounds amazing. So focus on really believing in what you're doing and saying. That's going to be so powerful. And don't overextend yourself. The Magician's only Achilles tendon would be if the Magician gets spread too thin and kind of like this, the cords are pulling in all directions. So say no, and then only say yes to the things that you really, really feel like you can or should do. Love the Magician overall. Really nothing negative to say with the Magician, except to stay focused. The reversal of this can also be a temptation because the Magician is a chemist. And sometimes for those of you that might have a certain addiction in your life or a certain tendency to go down a track that you don't want to do, Magician reverse is a trigger in your life. So be strong, lean on someone that you can trust or talk to someone that you can trust to pull you back onto the right path if that happens. Work-life balance is super important. I had no more table space, but one of the cards that I wanted to write this morning was not to work too late. So I'm going to just talk about it since it came through in the Two of Pentacles here. If I really had a chance to go back and relive some of my work experience, I would have just said no to some of those late night calls that I would get from a boss or, hey, we need this presentation tomorrow. Can you work all night on this or something like that? And I would do it because I was young, but it's silly because that's not good for your body, for your health. And it's also energetically, you're not getting paid for that extra 12-hour shift that you're putting in. So there has to be give and take. You can't do that all the time. Make sure that with the Two of Pentacles, there has to be a trade-off. It's a 1-for-1 trade-off. Six of Pentacles, you can kind of juggle things around. Two of Pentacles, if somebody asks you to do that, say, fine, but I won't be in tomorrow. If I'm going to work all night, I need a day or two off. I can't. So make a choice. I can come in early or I can stay up late and I'm out of commission for a couple of days. It's up to you. So that's what I would have done. I would have pushed back because sometimes when I was doing that, then I would get really sick later. You know, you get a cold or you're just not feeling good. So take care of yourself. This can also be a relationship that is being stretched too thin because one or both of you are traveling or working a lot. So it's work-life balance, and you have to figure out how to reallocate things. You can only do so much, and then like a rubber band, it will, it's going to break. So don't let it do that. Say no to something and say yes to something, but you can't say yes to both. There has to be a choice with the Two of Pentacles. It's a choice you can make. It's not like the Two of Swords. It's very clear. It's like, well, I can do this, but not this. So speak proactively. And then if you do that, and clearly, you could always present an option to, a boss or a partner, say, I can do this, but then I need your help with this, or this is going to fall by the wayside. If you're cool with that, I'll do it. Just present them with what the trade-off is. And then you're not going to get yourself in over your head where you can't do everything. Okay. I think that'll be really, really clear and helpful. We have the Nine of Cups. Really a great card, actually, and it's upright. So the Nine of Cups is looking at the sunny side of the street, looking at the silver lining, looking at what's positive and what's possible. It's very giraffe oriented based on what we were talking about earlier. The only thing that can kind of pull you down from the Nine of Cups is sometimes you set the bar so high where you feel like I can never make a mistake, that when something goes wrong, you can beat yourself up a lot. So try not to do it. I am a former perfectionist. I'm not so much anymore. But when I was a kid, everything had to be perfect. Like this card wouldn't have been neat enough for me. I would have had to have everything exactly on the line. My block printing, when I want it to look great, it can be perfect, like it's off a printer. But when I have an hour to get all these written, no. And it's more like, well, you should have your own flair on your writing. So it's not about being perfect. It's about having something that looks like your signature. So don't worry about it so much. The mistake was a learning opportunity. You're going to do better in the future, and go aim higher next time, right? So that's all you have to kind of think about with this. The card wasn't reversed, so I'm not so worried about. If it's reversed, it can kind of show emotional imbalance, sort of like bipolar energy. But on the upright, it's really just about not letting someone knock you off your energetic high. And that happens. Actually, that's how the shadow energy wants to work around us. So each time you kind of go to a new high, there's some sort of shadow energy that's going to try to meet you, and they'll say, are you sure you don't want to come over here? And you'll say, nope, I'm good. I'm going here instead. So just keep ascending and get past the shadow moment, and it'll be brief and identifiable. And then you'll, just like Apollo, you'll move beyond that. You'll move on to something else. Okay. So let's look at this. We have the Page of Wands here in your ego. And the Page of Wands is a great thing to be coming through for your personal card here. So this is ideation and moving the energy forward. I like that we have a very active page. She almost reminds me of a knight here. So this is your chance to pick up the phone. I think I'm really seeing someone who wouldn't be afraid to make some noise or get something done. So if you need or want something, pick up the phone and make it happen. Tap out that email on your phone or on the computer and make it happen. This is your moment to really speak up and to get someone's attention, to get their eyes or to get their ears on whatever it is you're needing their sort of insight on. Pages need to listen as well. So basically, I would just like to remind people, especially this one is better at nonverbal communication than the Page of Swords. So with the Page of Wands, you want to read facial expression, tone of voice, and maybe even the length between communications, and also just like how somebody acts around you. It's all the sort of cues that they give you. Those are forms of communication that oftentimes are clearer, more honest, and easier to read than the words that come out of someone's mouth. Because if they say yes, but their body is saying no, like, or whatever, you know that they're not really agreeing with you. So then go to it and just say, I think we should talk about this a little bit more. It feels like there's still more that needs to be uncovered or whatever. So listen to the nonverbal cues as much as the verbal cues. And that will help you stay on the right path. In the environment, we have the Eight of Cups. It feels like this has been coming up a lot over the last few readings. So Eight of Cups is always a choice in my book. This is your karmic relationship. And it's also the future relationship that might be coming through. I don't read it just as love. If you're widowed, retired, married, and you're not looking for a partner, or you're single and happy, I'll break it down for you. But for those of you that are in relationships or releasing relationships, the Eight of Cups is basically somewhere squarely between starting or stopping a cycle. So in a relationship, if you're dating someone, the Eight of Cups can be a little annoying. It's sort of like on, off, hot and cold, hot and cold. And in a relationship where I saw the Death card come through, it could mean that you're hanging on for the wrong reasons. And so this time you may just continue to walk. So there's always a choice with the Eight of Cups that you can come back. So just, do you want to? What's there waiting for you when you come back? That would be the sort of question that I'm positing out for all of you. For some of you, there's someone that's looking for you. And this was what I was getting with the remote viewing or the sort of calling. So there may be another soul partner coming into your life now that the other one's leaving, but they're kind of waiting. This could also be the sort of knocking on the door or trying to get in the door. I feel like for some of you have to figure out what to do with the old relationship first, and then this new one can come in. Now, if you're retired, if you're single and happy, or you're just not focused on relationships, this is just a decision on what you want to do this month. It'll stick. This is kind of like glue. The Eight of Cups is something where you'll start to see a return on it. It's not as good as Eight of Pentacles or Eight of Wands, but the Eight of Cups tells me it's a return card. For those of you that might have a business, like you cut hair, you do nails, or you're a decorator or something like that, this is return business, but it may not happen fast. Like Eight of Wands, there's always things happening. Eight of Cups means like, I'll come back in 6 months, or I'll come back in 2 months or a year or whatever, but there'll be returns. And so your challenge will be to get enough of the return business so that over time, you've got a steady flow of energy coming in. If you're retired, this is a desire to travel, but it's probably going to have to be on pause, possibly until August. That makes sense with a lot of the pandemic stuff that's still rolling out. But there is something coming into your life. You're calling it in. So work on manifestation, because you got the High Priestess right above it. And listen to who's calling to you, and also call out to what you're trying to bring in, and be very specific in what you're trying to call in as well when you manifest. Overall, I like the Eight of Cups, nothing bad with it. You can choose to start or stop. It's up to you. Let's move into the possibility card. We have the High Priestess here. The Genie card basically is the way she's sort of set up here. So knowing that thoughts and wishes and ideas are like little seeds that you're kind of like being blown out into the wind. Be very careful about what you're putting out into the universe. The reversed High Priestess sometimes doubts her capacity or her power or her insight. So I would say, don't doubt what you're picking up on. If you meet someone and think, wow, I really need to get to know them, great. If you think I shouldn't see them again, pay attention to that too. Listen to what's coming through, because if and when you don't, especially when we were looking at the ring, the contract. So if you're signing on the dotted line and thinking, I don't want to live here, like if it's in a house or a mortgage or an apartment, or if it's a work contract and you think, what am I doing? This is the wrong match. Don't sign the contract, or read it again, or say, I need a little more time before I do this. Make sure that you trust your intuition. It's leading you on the right path. The hesitation shouldn't be there when you're on the signature portion of it. So for those of you that are in a contract, you have to feel 100% ready for it. And when you do, it's awesome, because there's no doubt. It's like, no, I thought this through. I don't know if Aquarius is the same as Libra on this. Libra tends to think a little too much. I will say that as a Libra. But when I achieve a decision in my mind, I never look back. I'm like, no, I know this is the right thing to do. I thought it through every possible angle. So Aquarius, you have the ability to look at it from a bird's eye view, because you're air. So think it through. And then when you got the decision, don't second guess yourself. But if there's something there where you can't decide, that's in and of itself, it deserves a little bit of research. So get the research, talk to someone, and make sure that the signature portion is kind of like I feel when I make a decision. Yes, I'm ready. Okay. If there's someone in your life, when we look at these two cards, Empress and High Priestess, this could be a personality. Upright, it's amazing. This would be someone who can make anything happen. The reversal of these two cards tells me it could be someone that manipulates or comes in and tries to kind of gaslight you or make you doubt yourself. Don't listen to that person. That's just somebody that's trying to get in your headspace, okay? So if you know someone like that, it's time to pull back a little bit. Or if you're constantly kind of like, kind of like the giraffes, it feels like you're butting heads a little bit. This isn't the right energy for you. And that might be where the Death card is coming in as well. It's time to release. We have Five of Cups reversed, which I actually see as a positive card. This is about looking on the bright side, focusing on what you can do next rather than focusing on what you've lost. There is a little bit of mourning that comes in with Five of Cups. So give yourself a chance to feel bad about something, to work through that legitimate feeling of anger, frustration, sadness. But it's not a really pronounced one. It's saying, but then find a way to elevate or to work past it and see, well, how can I make this work for me in the future? How can I make the best of it? Make some lemonade basically out of the lemons, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be sour. We don't want that, okay? Because we have this really positive enlightenment card, it's Mary Poppins, spoonful of sugar. You got to find a way to put a little bit of positivity on that, and then it's going to be much, much better. All right, let's expand to the expanded forecast here. We're going to look at health first. With health, it's always a multi-part or multifaceted message. I tend to look more at the emotional and the spiritual, and then I go to the cards for the physical. So let's do that. You got two, one flipped out. We're going to start with the one that flipped out. The card says sacred vision, the Miriam, choose to forgive in order to heal, see the light in it all. Remember that love has no boundaries. Beautiful. And here in North America anyway, I would say, especially in America, we usually have these lilies symbolizing Easter. It's a really nice card to come through for that. I mentioned in other places it's amaryllis. It can be different depending on what part of the world you live in. But I see that, and I definitely get that energy of transformation that I was seeing. I know we're looking at health, but I think sometimes it's healthy to release a relationship that doesn't feel good. So it says, choose to forgive in order to heal. See the light in it all. And remember that love has no boundaries. It's reversed on my screen, so I have to keep turning it around. So really great messages here. I agree that love is what we take with us. And it is so much better to eventually forgive. Forgive yourself first. And only forgive the other person when you can say it and mean it, because otherwise they're just words, and the words aren't going to have power. So really work on yourself until the forgiveness sets in. Forgiving yourself is really important because this is more about health and it's more self-focused. So I think that's key. Then we have inner strength, move back into wholeness, recognize that you have the power. So for those of you that have had someone in your life kind of take your power away, or this is kind of like that reversed Empress card. I think that this is your chance to rekindle and reclaim it and say, no, I've always had the ability to focus on that, to kindle that. It says, yeah, recognize that you have the capacity or the power. So with the card in reverse, for some of you, this may actually be like solar plexus oriented too. So, I mentioned food, I mentioned vegetables. For some of you, there might be digestion issues that are coming through too. This could be the stress of all of it. Kind of like we can sometimes put it up here and it ends up in like the upper back. Sometimes we can put it in our stomach or in the heart. So be careful. I see throat being one thing that you want, and neck that you want to focus on, and then also the stomach, because I'm looking at this and it feels very much like second and third chakra. So sexual chakra, and then also the solar plexus. We want to make sure that those areas are okay. All right. Let's move on to the cards here and see if there's any additional messages for the body. You're looking okay overall. The Two of Pentacles is just showing me overall balance in your life, just balanced, like your diet, like appetite, work-life balance, and then also focus just for those of you that may be recovering. Maybe you've had an injury in your leg or ankles. This can also be about making sure that you're strengthening that and getting stronger, and your balance is okay. Or if you're having anything like vertigo setting in, you should talk to a doctor then. Lightheadedness, talk to a doctor. Balance issues come up with the Two of Pentacles. So that's something that just requires medical attention. There could be any number of issues there that are coming through, but that's definitely something you want to pay attention to. If you're trying to have a baby, the Empress card is here, which shows me that it's a good time, but try not to focus too much on the need for it to happen. I know that's sort of it doesn't make sense. It's the reverse of what you would think. Counterintuitive is what I was trying to say. But with the Magician card and the High Priestess, when you kind of just allow things to happen, it's going to be a lot better. Also, the act of creation, whether it's a baby or a project or doing something in your life, there should be a sense of joy and celebration that are part of that invocation of that creation of breathing life into something. So if all you feel is stress, anxiety, and frustration, that's what that new thing is going to be born into, whether it's a child or a project. So don't put that energy into it. Put ease, love, joy, passion, pleasure, all of that, because you want to bring something into that energy, higher frequency, basically. Okay. Also, when we're looking at the Eight of Cups and the Magician, this is overcoming. Again, this could be overcoming an addiction. This could also be starting a really good habit. This is habitual. And so just make good habits in your life. Eating and exercising well and having that spiritual practice that we talked about. Okay. Let's go to wealth, career, money. And we have stepping into power. You're strong beyond measure. This card was reversed like your other two not catalyst, but expanded forecast cards. So with this one, I would say, don't hesitate. What I'm seeing here is the what is this? This is the hermit stepping into the star, basically. And notice how there's someone in the shadows here. So a few people, actually, they kind of feel like ghosts to me in the fog, or older versions of himself. So I would really say, like, let go of the past, step into the light, step into the power that you have, and realize that when you believe that you're strong, when you start to speak up a little bit more, some really cool things will start to happen for you. It's difficult when you're in a place where there are too many bosses. I saw one in my dream where it just felt like they were really taken by their power. So if that happens, this is a sign for you that it's probably time to move on, because you're not going to have the ability to have the upward growth that you want there. So if there's someone there that's trying to push your light down or keep you in this hermit energy that I see in this card, you can do much better than that. In relationships overall, too, this is it's in wealth, but this is also about self-confidence. The more you feel comfortable and confident in your abilities, the better you are at attracting good opportunities and good relationships in your life. So self-esteem is so important. Self-worth equals net worth. That's why that's coming up in your work card, or in your money card here. We didn't get a lot of pentacles. The only one that I got really showed that balance was necessary. So 6 of Pentacles would have been my preference here, but the 2 of Pentacles is okay. So basically, this is telling me that there are trade-offs involved with growth. You can do what you want, but you must let go of something in order for that to happen. 6 of Pentacles tells me you have more than enough. You just have to kind of choose the right time. 2 of Pentacles, there is a sacrifice or a delay on one thing in order to allow for another. So make the choice, make peace with the choice, and know that hopefully, excuse me, that choice is going to allow you to have more abundance in the long run. Because you have the Magician and the High Priestess, I also believe that you can manifest more. You could ask for more. And we have this sort of, we have 2 cards here. You're getting the general idea here. This says inner strength, and this says step into the power. So this is showing it's healthy for you. This is showing it's better for your wealth and for your career as well, or your well-being. So I think that it's important now to find a place where you can feel strong and supported. All right, let's move on to the next card. And one last thing here, Page of Wands. You might have a really great idea, and this is something that you could do on your own. You can patent if you want to. You could sell. Maybe someone wants to option the idea if it's something that you've written, etc. So you might be sitting on something really cool. So make sure that you're exploring all options. Get that giraffe head up high and look at everything. All right, let's move on to love and relationships. What a gorgeous, gorgeous card here. We have the cosmic butterfly, and you see this beautiful sort of the 2 wings of the butterfly here, and it's almost like a brand new day that it's stepping into. So this is what I saw with you and past and future relationships. We have the death card, and this is truly what death can be as well. It's metamorphosis, it's change, it's transformation. So we need to see different versions of death. Sometimes I think it should just be a butterfly. It's gorgeous as a butterfly, right? So if you're willing to step into a new change, as you change, your relationships are going to change. This is one thing that's really important. Sometimes we feel like we have to always be with one person. We don't. That's why even like till death do us part may not make sense, because you may both radically change in your life. And as you are 2 different butterflies, you look at each other, and that's what my guides were showing me. They said, I don't know who you are. It was very weird, because the person that I saw would have recognized me, but that was a metaphor for you. You might be sitting right next to someone, a best friend, a partner, a coworker, and you're thinking like, I don't know who this is. Why am I here? Who is this person? How did I end up here? That happens to a lot of us at different stages in our life. That just means that you've moved up to a different level, or you've moved on, or you've drifted apart. But as you acknowledge the release of that, then something beautiful is on the horizon. Something else wants to come through. Something's knocking on the door. Looking at other messages with relationships, the central theme in relationships is power, because we have the Empress card at the center, but she's reversed, which is about owning your power and also not trying to exert your power unnecessarily on others. We have a new energy coming in that's very passionate, very sensitive, very strong, because we have a serpent on this King of Cups. Really cool. So for those of you looking for someone new, you might have met your match here. This is a very strong energy, which is why I saw the cleansing metaphor of cleaning the ring. So basically cleaning your sort of energy out, balancing everything in your life out so that you can accept and welcome in that new energy. It does feel like there's choices that have to be made for relationships, starting and stopping. By the way, this is a really nice pairing. So Emperor and Empress can be a partner. The Magician and the High Priestess can be a partner. There are different partner cards that would pop through in the major arcana, and these are a couple of them. This is very magical. This is very kind of, you would see this person coming and you would feel a really strong chemical and spiritual connection to them. So whoever it is, whoever's on the horizon, there's some cool stuff. It could just be a teacher. It could just be a best friend. It could be a pet, and you just feel like, oh my gosh, this is what I was looking for. But whatever it is, I feel a really strong bond, a stronger bond this time than whatever you've had before. So I like that. Finally, let's look at your destiny card. And destiny is a choice when I read it. It's a trajectory. And we have the Shield Maiden that says, make plans and focus. Card was reversed, so be clear in your focus. Don't be afraid to speak up and make things happen. Like I said, words and thoughts are very, very powerful. So what are you going to do with them? What are you trying to do? Because she's holding the shield, everything that I talked about in the channeled messages holds true here. You need to take a look at password security. You should look at your clarity of messages. Are you saying yes and no to things clearly enough so that people aren't kind of scratching their head afterwards saying, you know, are they interested or are they not? So don't be obtuse in communication. Yes, let's meet tomorrow. Yes, I will text you tonight and we'll make a date. Or thank you, but I'm not interested. Or I'm just not interested. Whatever you need to say for that situation, be clear so that they're not wondering. If they have to go home and get out their tarot cards, something's wrong. I joke around. I'm a reader and I'm an intuitive, but if I ever have a relationship and I'm at home reading cards to figure out what my partner wants, there's a problem. We should be able to communicate with it. The cards in a relationship should not be necessary. You should just be able to talk it out, okay? Let's go ahead now and do a quick review, and then we're gonna go deeper into the soul path. As I'm looking at the cards here, I'd really like to look at the patterns and the balance. Like Two of Coins, Two Pentacles seems really important. So where can you find the balance? What's really coming through with the starting and stopping of habits? And then I want to look at the partnership too. So let's go ahead and look at a quick review. Oftentimes I come up with new things, so stick around, and then we're going to get it a little bit deeper into the soul path, the meditation, and then I do my equivalent of a pick a card, but it's a single card at the end, so stick around. All right, we have Spirit Totem here as the giraffe, which is a fantastic metaphor for holding your head high, especially if you've been bullied, especially if you're in a situation where people just aren't encouraging you. You know what? The giraffe doesn't care. It stands out from the crowd and it looks amazing. I think it's a beautiful animal. So there is strength in that differentness and that out-of-box thinking. Use that to your advantage. Don't let naysayers and critics deflate you, because you know what? If you're doing something interesting, there's always going to be a negative review or comment or critique. You are never going to please everyone. That's one thing that I've learned by being in in social media and on YouTube. You always have someone who says something crazy or nasty, and that's just how it works. That means that you're showing up because you're triggering people. Maybe you're still helping them grow in some way, who knows? But don't listen to them too much. Lead, don't follow. You have a chance to really make a difference this month. And it's boring to blend into the sort of like wallpaper. There may be a place where there's too many leaders and you don't have room to grow. And in that case, it might be time to move on. Embrace what makes you different, what makes you stand out. That is you. That is your brand. Make it part of your brand. That's what I wrote here. It's good to be singular. It's good to be memorable. It's good to stand out, right? So incorporate more vegetables into your life. Obviously, go ahead and talk to your doctor if this is something that you need to focus on. But I was getting a sign that more leafy greens, more vegetables would be really important. And I hear someone saying there that sometimes people need to hear the truth. Yeah, that's true. But if somebody's just giving you negativity and it's not about the truth, that's not what I was talking about. That's different. So some people just don't have the support that they need. And in this case, especially if your parents don't believe in you, if society doesn't believe in you, and if you've been a group that's been ostracized, this is an important time for you to speak up. That's what I'm talking about. I already talked about the importance of being forthright and speaking up. Likewise, if you get critique, you can listen to it, but you have to just sort of go to the source and figure out, like, how much do you trust them? Pay attention to your neck, your throat, your upper back this month. Really stretch and move that. Yoga is a great way to do that. You're going to have to also on this one work with a doctor if necessary, right? Even though giraffes are the tallest terrestrial animals, they are grounded. So I want you to really focus on grounding your spiritual platform, your spiritual practice, your physical experience, and your purpose and passion. The word platform came through though. So I'm curious for some of you what your platform is. Are you using it? Are you working with it? That's important. Let's see, a lot of stretching going on because of how tall the giraffes are. Stretch and reach. We talked about that extra goal where you're pushing yourself a little bit. I think that that is really important. You can go higher than you think you can. You can go higher than you have before. So this is your time to prove people wrong, especially the naysayers. You can pick up on the pace and gain some momentum this month. I talked about how quickly giraffes can move. They have great eyesight. I really attributed this to creative vision or just ideas. So this is a chance to really use and act upon those ideas. A karmic partnership is ending or a karmic lesson has been completed. So I saw the death card associated with this. We see it here as the cosmic butterfly. There's a chance to spread your wings and move on. And the same thing, you can release that other person if you're ready. There was this sense of you couldn't even recognize each other that you changed so much, which is amazing, right? Now you can choose what to do, stay or go, and there's a new relationship on the horizon. We saw it here in the form of the King of Cups. I saw a ring. I saw a diamond on the ring. I saw more than one diamond, actually, but it needed to be cleaned. It was being put into a sonic cleaner. So there's a little bit of work that you need to do on yourself, but then I see something really beautiful on the horizon. You're being sought after. So if you're having a hard time finding work, there might be someone out there that's looking for exactly your skill set. You just have to look in a different place. Giraffes put their heads in different places. So look in a different area and listen, because we have the high priestess here. This is like call and answer, the high priestess and the magician. There's a synchronicity that wants to open up, but there's a block that's seeming to happen. And that's what we're talking about next. Is the block on purpose? Is someone annoying you? Or is it a block because you're cognitively not open to something? If it's the latter, you want to stay open. If there's things that you need to protect, then you need to kind of focus on security, like we saw with the Shield Maiden. It could be a hidden blessing, again, that wants to show up. This is the other piece here about mixed signals. I think you should be straightforward this month. Say yes or say no. Don't beat around the bush. And then if you need to increase security, do that. I saw a gift with strings attached, and this is particularly dangerous if you are receiving one that's related to work. Say no or return to sender. Or figure out why they're giving it to you. It's better to have an exchange of energy. There are too many leaders and not enough workers. So there may be a place where you're working at's too top heavy, or there's too many people trying to be boss. They might be holding you back from being able to step into your power. All of this is saying it's your turn, it's your time. So do what you need to do to make sure that you can feel powerful and be powerful. There's an intuitive awakening happening, as we can see here with the sacred lotus. Realize that sometimes you have to go through the mud and the dirt to get to the light. And this is rising above that, using it as fertile grounds or fertilizer, all the nonsense, all the crap. It ends up being something that's beautiful, because literally we use things like manure to create growth in life. So sometimes you have to go through that and something beautiful happens. So keep your head high. I don't like that the lotus is pointed down. We want the flower to grow up. So look up and things will continue to look up for you too. Focus on your power, focus on your grounding, allow people to come to you. And if someone in your life, particularly if it's connected to Empress and High Priestess, seems to manipulate or try to pull the strings for you, you're going to use the Ace of Swords here and cut free. Because there's something better coming through here. We have the King of Cups. This is also creative, intuitive, and passion sort of energy that wants to come through. So tap into that. The Magician and the High Priestess, really, really good for manifestation, but you have to trust. This one is saying, stay focused. This one is saying, listen to your intuition, because you have everything that it takes to make it work. Balance your life. There are some tough choices necessary for success. You'll have to sacrifice something to allow something else to happen, but it looks like it's a good sacrifice because we have King of Cups and Nine of Cups here. So I see a happy resolution to this. By the way, if there is new love coming into your life, really strong chemical and cosmic kind of connection. And I feel like there's a lot of joy happening with this as well. Stay optimistic. Don't let one thing take you off your sort of energetic high. Listen to what people have to say. Pay attention to their nonverbal cues. take the action necessary to make something happen. This is a communication card, but it is very much sort of taking something and bringing it somewhere. There's a follow-through associated with this. Starting and stopping cycles, calling and answering. There's a lot of energy of bringing things in and letting things go with the Eight of Cups. Your intuitive abilities are definitely heightened. Magician, Sacred Lotus, and High Priestess all coming through saying you're going to receive some messages and some intuitive downloads. Downloads are just messages that come to you waking or sleeping. I get that question sometimes. So anyway, don't second guess. Be optimistic, focus on what you can control, release fear, anger, frustration, doubt. You've got a double power card. The power message is both in health and wealth. Here it's talking about your inner strength. And also we have that vision card that I talked about here in health. I didn't really look at this as a sort of face value thing, but you might want to get an optometrist appointment if you've been holding back because of the pandemic. It is important to take care of your eyesight as well. But forgiveness is really the deeper message on this card. And this one is also saying recognizing your power. That's also important. Other health messages really involved not being triggered by something, deciding to make some positive strides and positive habits, balancing out everything in your life that requires some attention. We have for wealth, we have stepping into power. So in order to step up, you might have to speak up. And that means that you might have to say something that's unpopular or do something that people don't expect, and that's okay. The other thing with wealth is I want you to have a little bit more. It feels like with the Two of Pentacles, you could speak up, you could advocate for more abundance to come into your life because you might be stretched too thin. We have the cosmic butterfly here for relationships. We have really strong connection here between the Magician and the High Priestess. It's kind of manifesting more with water energy. Power dynamics are at play, and I feel like the old karmic relationship is going to require a little release of that. The new one, there should be more balance. You should be more on the same level. If you're single and happy, if you're retired and not looking for partnerships, this is personal growth. But it's going to attract higher partnerships no matter what. So when I see partnerships coming through, even if you're not looking for them, be prepared for new people in your life. Stand up for what you believe in. Make plans for the future. You need to, this is very Two of Wands kind of message here, because the only way the High Priestess is really effective is when she knows what she's trying to do. Otherwise, she's just looking into the crystal ball and thinking, that's a lot of information. What am I going to do with that? So know what you want to do, know what you want to manifest to be stronger and to be more powerful. So I know we're a little short on time today, but I'm going to do my best to go through the soul path and still leave time for meditation and the final card, the final word. Let's begin with looking at, what did I say earlier? I want to look at the Magician and the High Priestess. I want to actually start, as I'm looking at this, before we go into relationship, let's look at the Eight of Cups. What is the cycle? What is the pattern that you need to look at? Then, yeah, it was pattern, resources, relationship. All right, so let's look at the pattern with the Eight of Cups and see what you're calling in, what you need to be cognizant of, what's the opportunity with Eight of Cups. Love this. Oh my gosh, what a great card to come through for you. You've got the Six of Wands, which is success. Notice how this particular Six of Wands isn't focused on the other people. I love a Six of Wands where it's internal growth and internal success first and foremost, rather than focusing on the external applause or ratings or whatever. So suffice it to say that you are on the right path. You have what it takes to succeed. And this is the leadership card that I talked about. Lead, don't follow. People will eventually find you if you continue to do solid work. I also love that we have divine feminine energy in this particular Six of Wands, great diversity in this deck. And it also connects with the Empress card at the center. So sometimes a leader can be very strong, very nurturing, very sensitive, very passionate. We don't need the sort of old-fashioned machismo energy in leadership. This is a very kind and magnanimous leader that I see here with the Six of Wands. You have what it takes. Anytime I see Six of Wands, there's a reminder to not give in to peer pressure, social pressure, or expectations. Remember that to really accentuate the energy of your totem, the giraffe this month, the sort of more out there that you are, the better. That's something that I've embraced as I went along. I know that when I first started to do this, I was worried, what will old friends, family, or coworkers think? And now I could care less. The more you are authentic, the better. So be yourself, be bold. It's going to pay off, and it's going to be exactly what someone's looking for. It'll help you stand out of the sort of inbox or the stack. Back in the old days, there would be a stack of resumes, but now it's probably like an inbox. They're just going to look at your name and say, I want to click on that one, right? So that was the message here is it's you. You're fine. Focus on success. Yes, you'll be all right. Don't worry what other people have to say, and set a course that makes you feel happy and successful. Other people will follow you. Now we're going to look at the balance of the Two of Pentacles. What can you do to either get more balanced, or what can you do to make a better choice when you're faced with that? All right, this is great. I'm glad that we saw something that's heightened here with the Pentacles. So I believe that the choice that you're going to make will bring in a ton of abundance for you. The Seven of Pentacles is recovery after a period of struggle, particularly something that's stretched thin like the Two of Pentacles. And a lot of us have been living through the Two of Pentacles because of the pandemic. Underemployment, unemployment, furloughs, reductions in pay, maybe even not feeling like you can trust that your job's going to be there. So make a choice that allows you to feel that you can build more of a foundation here. But the Seven of Pentacles to me is an indication that there will be enough in the future to help you get through this and help you pay back. There is a little bit of stretching and straining, just like the Two of Pentacles with the Seven of Pentacles, but I like to look at the positive side, which is I've learned what to do, what not to do, and I'm going to keep focusing on doing the right thing, and then it's going to get me to the Eight and Nine of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is lesson learned. Nine of Pentacles is independence and self-sufficiency, and that little snail is there for a reason. I like to talk about him all the time, but slow and steady wins the race, so keep doing the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for all the super stickers and super chats. I appreciate it. All right, let's go on to the final message here before we do the last card at the end. This one is going to focus on relationships because I see a really strong one. So I'll just let the card tell me if it's about releasing or about attracting that one. Just what do you need to know with respect to relationships? All right, so we have the King of Wands here. Love this. Stand your ground, know yourself, be strong. This is the boss card, I like to say. If I could pick one, King of Wands can manage anything. Really, really keen insight. So for you this month, really focus on what you are looking for and get your life in tip-top shape. You should be the boss. You should be the manager. And you shouldn't be looking for someone to step in to kind of fill in those missing pieces. That's one of the things that always drove me crazy about like Jerry Maguire, the movie, where it's like, you complete me. No, you have the capacity within yourself to be complete. You are complete. And what you're looking for someone to come into your life and say is, you compliment me. You are, you're a great addition to my life, but I don't need you to complete who I am. So finish completing yourself. Like I saw with the ring, put it in the sort of what was it? Can't think of it, the sonic cleaner. So for you, you're just going to do a little bit of clearing and cleansing and getting stronger so that when that partnership comes through, you're both. I love it when I get two kings or two queens because I don't read gender with cards. I read how even and equal they are. This is pretty good. This is strong and sensitive. This is strong and self-assured and able to see things and do things. Together, it's a very compatible mix of energies. So this is what you're going to embody, is this feeling like, I know who I am. I'm not afraid to speak up for myself. I can take care of myself. And I'm ready. I'm ready for something bigger. Okay, so really great message there. If anyone in your life doesn't allow you to do all of those things, it is definitely time to release that. Let's meditate, but before we do that, a couple of notes. I pull an extra card at the end, so I want you to think about something that I didn't answer today. Maybe it's a question about school, it's about work, it's about health, or whatever it is. Hold that in your energy for a little bit and meditate on it. I'm going to pull a card at the end and I'll give you some feedback on that. Before I do that, just a couple of quick notes on how you can connect with me, and then we'll get into the meditation. First of all, thank you. I noticed that there were a lot of super stickers and super chats. If you want to do that, you can continue to do that. And later on replay, you can click the applaud button. If you really like what you see and you want to give back in a continuing way, you can do that through clicking the join button here. You get some cool emojis, first access to Q&A, and you can also get the same perks by joining me on Patreon. And that's a great way to give back any amount, any month. And you can start and stop both of those as your economic situation changes. This is the single most important thing that you could do while we're sitting here. Just hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and then comment when this is coming through later. That means the world to me. It helps me reach more people. That's really why I'm showing up here every time that I go live. So thumb up, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and comment. It helps more than you know. You can also share it. There's a share button, so share it to Twitter or to Facebook. Really, really helps. If you ever want to get in touch with me, the only official way to do that is my website. There's been some imposters on social media that message people. I never message people unless they send me a note through my traditional, through my website or an official platform. So don't use a direct message feature at all. If you want to follow me on social media, it's always my name, @NicholasAshbaugh. And I use stories on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And anything with underscores or whatever, that's nonsense. And if somebody reaches out to you and asks you for a reading, not me. Asks you for money, not me. If you want to support me, you can do it here in live using any of the features we talked about, or the applaud button, or on my website using the PayPal buttons, or traditional platforms. Don't ever send money in an email. Finally, you can follow me on Twitter. It's Ashbaugh. Okay, all that being said, I'll talk about my book at the end, but let's get into the meditation. I really want to become, we've done butterflies before, but I really like this, and I think it's important for the karmic release. So we're going to go into a metamorphosis, and we're going to come out something, someone else. Basically, I want you to think higher and stronger than you are right now. I want you to envision yourself stepping into that future version of yourself. So we're going to meditate for about 2 minutes, and then I'll be back and I'll read the final card. So just stick around here. If you're not a normal meditator, just listen to the sound of the music. It'll help you. And then we're going to get into that final card. So I really want this to be daytime. I'm seeing a lot of light in these cards. So let's imagine that it's a new dawn, and you are going to find a place where you're going to step into the new you. So let's imagine kind of like the Three of Wands card, that you're at the top of a hill. You can see the ocean or the lake or water beneath you. And you have these three trees represented by the Three of Wands around you. And you're kind of holding on to them, leaning on them, looking out at the horizon. And I want you in this moment to take a look over your shoulder and realize how hard and how much work you've put into kind of getting to this point in your life. You deserve this and more, and really own that power and that feeling like, no, there's even more. The best is yet to come. That's your sort of internal mantra as you're going to go into metamorphosis. So imagine that as you lean against the tree, you could kind of put your hands around yourself, even give yourself a little bit of a hug here energetically. Lean against the tree. And in this moment, cocoon yourself with beautiful energy. Imagine perhaps that it's every color of the rainbow. So you could just see all of these variegated tones around you. And it's almost as if you can see the wings that are going to be there in a moment, but you're just kind of wrapping yourself in this energy. And it's very loving, it's very light. You can see through it. This is a symbolic metamorphosis. But you're also kind of attached to the tree, just like a butterfly would be to a branch. And you're melting into that tree for a second. So as you're going into the transformative phase, I want you to reach up as high as you can, just like a giraffe, and look at the world from the top of the tree branches. I want you to reach into the core of the planet, following the roots, and connect to the energy beneath. Seeing yourself as a conduit between the sun and between that center, that molten core of the earth. And using those two energy sources and using your heart as well, imagine what it is that you want to create and who you want to become. And we're going to meditate for a minute or two. And then I want you to see that that's happening in this beautiful rainbow. Just see yourself in a rainbow of energy. Whatever you want to create, you're creating, and then you're going to open up your wings, and we're going to reveal the new you, and then we're going to read that final card. All right, so deep breath. Feel that your wings are starting to grow, starting to surround yourself. You're starting to become whatever it is you want to be, and just feel a sense of freedom. And we're going to fly a little bit after this too. So sit there and expand in consciousness as I play the singing bowl. A lot of times we don't take a deep breath. I really want you to take a deep breath in this moment and absorb and enjoy all of this sort of tranquility that you found just being yourself, seeing yourself as you truly are in this higher energy and this higher light. And as you inhale, I really want you to stretch out your arms, stretch out, even imagine that you could stretch your neck up like the giraffe, pushing out in all directions, pushing through the limitations that are around you. If you've ever seen a cat, they like to do that too. Just imagine that you're pushing out gently, just like a cat would do that, and getting rid of all of the stuff that was blocking you. And then spread your wings wide. And I want you in this moment to see yourself rising above any situation, any challenge. And now take a look at yourself. Imagine that from the earth, you can see your body's there and you're looking at your spirit for a second and see yourself how you truly are, how the divine sees you, and allow now for that soul recognition to happen. And when you recognize yourself, allow then for that beautiful butterfly to come down and kind of once more give you a hug and melt into your physical self. And you can hold that butterfly here in your stomach or in your heart space for a second. So place it right there and say, I'm going to honor the vision that I saw. I'm going to take a little step every day to go into that power, into that moment. And I'm going to spread my wings in April and beyond. Okay. Let's get back into the reading and let's do one last card. This is something that I've been adding in to help people with one more thing, maybe that the reading didn't have a chance to look at because you're all in different walks of life and different steps of development. So in this moment, I want you to think of a question. It could be about yourself. It could be about someone that you loved. It could just be a question for guidance. And think about it. I'm going to shuffle the cards here and we're going to see what the message is. So I get a yes for some of you. We have the Two of Cups coming through. The Two of Cups was reversed, so patience. This is an affirmative card, and it's patience as well. So for those of you that are looking maybe to find a partner in business or a partner in life, this is a very auspicious card to come through. The reversal here is basically saying this time around, your litmus test for that would really be that the person should look and see you eye to eye, just like we see here, and should also be on the same level. So we had two king cards that came through as I was looking at this, and I don't read gender with cards. I just read sort of like power and how far someone has kind of progressed. And what I'm seeing here are the two kings meeting. So for me, it feels like whether you were identifying as male or female, it doesn't matter. When we're looking at tarot, like it or not, the king cards are at the top. So I'm seeing that you're meeting a match. You're meeting a really good match for who you are and where you're at. Looks good. You should be like willing and ready to kind of have that reciprocity in this next relationship. If you're not looking for love, if you're happily married, this is about really kind of saying I love you and appreciating that partnership that you have. And then also realizing, guess what? There's more opportunities on the horizon for you to, this is about partnership. I just feel like there is an opportunity to connect with someone new. When we were looking at the ring that I talked about earlier, this sort of connection could be a friendship. You just want to make sure that both sides are clear. I don't want any more karmic stuff because it feels like you had a pretty deep karmic one before. I didn't get Six of Cups, so this doesn't feel like it's a deep karmic kind of connection. This is just a strong energetic connection. We can attract someone for the first time. Everyone that was a soulmate was at one point in our history, you met them for the first time. So this could be someone that has a really, really deep connection, and it can be just as deep, if not deeper than a karmic connection, and it doesn't have the baggage. So I like that. So whether it's a friend, a teacher, a lover, or we're looking at business and you're attracting new people, it's good. So you have an attractive energy that wants to come through this month. What are you going to do with it? That's the real question for you, okay? And notice how gentle this sort of connection is. Hands held, foreheads together, eye to eye, face to face. Have that face-to-face contact with people. Obviously, it's hard with the pandemic, so we would do it like we're doing here with Zoom. But I think it's important to be able to read body language. So as close as you can get to someone with whatever sort of technology you need to use, it's important to be able to read the nonverbal cues as well, okay? For some of you, this also comes through brother-sister energy. So there might be a reconnection with like a best friend or a sister. There might have been an estrangement. What I'm seeing here is that there's a peace that's being made, a peace that's being offered as well. So this can be platonic as much as it can be love, okay? But definitely relationships are playing a significant part in April for you. Healing an old relationship, releasing a cycle, perhaps it doesn't feel good for you, and then welcoming in something better, okay? So really good stuff, okay? Thank you so much for being present today. I was gonna say one other way that you can connect with me if you want to, or to show support, is through my book. It's called The Luminous Ones. You can see it behind me. I have a couple copies here. For those of you that might be in the United States, they have slashed the hardcover by $10. So it's almost the same price as the paperback. I think it's at $23, and this is like $19.99. So this is pretty cheap. So this is good if you like sci-fi and fantasy, or if you're interested in intuitive development, but it is sci-fi fantasy. So Lord of the Rings, Dune type readers would enjoy this as well. All right. You can always read a free chapter on Amazon Kindle, Apple Books, and Google Play and Kobo. So preview a chapter and see if it's what you like. And if you want it, then you can buy whatever form you'd like. My moderators put the link to the website. Thank you so much. I know we're a couple minutes over, but there was a lot to come through for you today. So beautiful month ahead for you, Aquarius. I wish you all the best. I will be back later this week for Pisces. That'll be on Thursday. I have a collective, and I forgot to mention it. The collective is going to be on the 28th. So every sign is welcome to the collective. And much like this, who knows what will come through? That's one of the fun things with the readings. So I've stopped trying to theme the collectives. I just allow what has to come through to come through. I may be looking a little bit of like release though, and reinvention, because metamorphosis is a big part of the energy that's going to be in April. So I always try to do it on the last Sunday of the month if I can. It's really going to be themed towards April, but just like these readings, it'll resonate now and it'll resonate later. All right. Take care, everybody. Much love and light. Apollo's napping by me, so you can't see him, but love from the both of us. And I'll be back again later this week. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Thanks again to my moderators as well for showing up, and to everyone who gave me all the wonderful sort of contributions. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. It helps a lot. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.